Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I am your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Nope, my name is Mike Piwowarski. I'm coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most. Here on the Rundown, 2A views, conservative news. It's a welcome to a happy thirsty Thursday. And Craig, it sounds like you're getting your voice back.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely getting the voice back. Good dose of bourbon to clear the to clear the area always helps.
The whole thing here.
Yes, all this got cleared. All this got cleared.
Very good, very good, very good, very good.
How is your weekend going thus far?
I got a little bit of like storm recovery stuff involved in it with some of the organizations I'm involved with, but for the most part, it's going well. It's going well.
That is good to hear. That is definitely good to hear. For those of you who are wondering, you're like, wait a minute, it's Thursday. What are they talking about the weekend? You clearly are new to the program.
We try to start our weekend about 5 p.m. Wednesday for both of us. So I usually get to start at 3 hours earlier than Craig, but he gets his last 3 hours longer than mine. So it works out.
We try. We don't always succeed, but as I like to say, the fun is in the trying.
That's right. Right. And wait, I thought it was in the pudding. Wait, that's a different saying. Never mind.
that is definitely a different saying.
The proof is in the pudding. That's it. The proof is in the pudding. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get started today, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsors.
We shall. Let's talk. Let's say hello to our good friends over at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. Hitmanindustries.net. Odds are, if you got a rifle, an AR rifle in the past 5 years, you may have one of their barrels already. But now you could buy direct from them for your next build, or just change out the barrel you have in the rifle you're already. That's hitmanindustries.net. Let's say hello to our good friends at the California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Reach out and show them your support. And if you're looking for some cool tactical gear, some awesome tactical gear, go to uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. These are our sponsors. These are the folks who bring us to you, and they do so in hopes that we will bring you to them. So do us a favor. Follow the link to their websites in the description to this program. I guarantee you will like what you see and you'll want to spend some money with them. And when you do go there, make sure you let them know that it was the guys over at the Rundown that sent you. Also, make sure if you haven't already done so, please make sure like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends about the Rundown. Tell them, look, they can watch or they can listen. However they would like to partake. There are tons of ways to partake of the program, but do it now.
Do it now.
All right, let's jump into today's news. Big decision there over at SCOTUS. I really wanted to play the themes. I really wanted to play as a theme song for this story. Another one bites the dust, because the Supreme Court has overruled yet another gun law. This one actually took place dealing with the state of Massachusetts and a Supreme Court ruling there in the state of Massachusetts. And I'm setting it up here. Now, the particular law that they were dealing with had to do with conviction for non-violent misdemeanors. So, in this particular case, the case was, let's see, I scroll down here a little bit. The case was Morin v. Liver. Anyway, this individual had been convicted in another state of two non-violent misdemeanors, or basically, both of them were firearms weapons charges, and they were considered to be non-violent. And the Supreme Court basically said, yeah, no, you can't restrict someone's right to be able to keep and bear arms over a non-violent crime. Now, this is going to be huge because there are places like California that have a ton of non-violent misdemeanors that are prohibiting offenses. And one has got to believe that those laws are now basically have been deemed unconstitutional.
Yeah, let's be clear. From what we've seen on this, it says non-violent misdemeanors, and it had to do with the carrying or possession of a firearm. Now, so nonviolent, Craig. So I'm guessing something in the transporting it wrong, or having it in the wrong place, or not knowing it, or in some states, like if you have a concealed firearm permit and you don't have the permit on you, that's a misdemeanor. So this was something that was clearly nonviolent. I know red flags are going up, going, well, there's a firearm involved. How can that be nonviolent? It wasn't anything involving the use of the firearm. It's just something about the method in which it was carried or stored is what this sounds like. But a nonviolent. So yeah, Craig, this is huge ramifications. This has ramifications everywhere, even in states like Florida, where we have just like California, that we have a bunch of misdemeanors that are nonviolent, that are prohibitive for purchasing or carrying a firearm down here.
Well, yeah, and mind you, in places like California, it can be very, very confusing. So, for example, in the city of San Francisco, it's illegal to be in the possession of hollow points. So, if you have a California concealed carry permit and you get caught with, hollow points in your firearm for some reason there in San Francisco, that's a crime. And now, if you don't know that, and a lot of people don't know that, I know it because this is my job to kind of know it. It's my job to know that information. But if you don't know it, once again, boom, you are now in violation. Sometimes possession can be as simple as, well, you didn't have it or once again in California, if you keep it in your car, it's got to be in a lockbox connected to the frame. Well, what if you just have it in a lockbox? Once again, that's another nonviolent misdemeanor that, once again, that can then turn out to be prohibiting from you to be able to own or possess a firearm. And what they're saying is, look, the whole point of keeping someone from being able to own or possess a firearm is you're looking for someone who's a danger to themselves or others. And clearly someone who has these nonviolent misdemeanors, they're not a danger to themselves or others. Or at least that's not evidence that they are proof that they are a danger to themselves or others.
Yeah, in Florida, it actually goes a little bit further. Again, we're very pro-gun state for the most part, but our laws say you can't purchase a firearm, or you can't get a permit to carry one if you've been convicted or pled out to any crime and are within 2 years of the release of supervision. So let's say you got your insurance lapsed, you didn't know it, you got popped for driving with a suspended license, which is a misdemeanor, and you agree to go to a traffic school and do 6 months of unsupervised probation, okay, which is a typical sentence for that. Well, in Florida, you've got to wait 2 years till the end of that unsupervised probation before they'll grant you permission to purchase or carry again. So all of that's gone now. All of that's gone. You can't. Well, it's going to have to be gone soon. Now it's from the SCOTUS, but so all of that, non-violent misdemeanor stuff is out the window. They cannot prevent you from purchasing. So even if you got hit for a DUI yesterday, you're still on, DUI, probation. That's a non-violent offense. They cannot keep you from purchasing a firearm.
Well, there you go, folks.
Carrying a firearm.
Good stuff. As I said, SCOTUS strikes again. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Hey,
and this one, Craig, you know what? No dissent opinion, no majority opinion. They just said, do it.
Well, and by the way, that is vital for you to know. So for those of you out there who are thinking, wow, these are extremists, there was not a single dissent.
Yep.
Bam. Like that. In more SCOTUS news, Mike, do you ever read The Onion?
I have been known to glance at the Onion. Yes, I have.
Okay. While the Babylon Bee probably gets a lot more play and a lot more attention these days as a parody website, The Onion is probably one of the oldest and probably one of the premier parody sites that are out there. The number of times back in the day, especially when I used to have to, people would share an article like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And then you have to tell them, yeah, no, that's The Onion. It's a parody website. Well, The Onion actually recently filed an amicus brief in a case before the Supreme Court. Now, The funny thing about their brief is that it is as much a parody as it is a legal brief, and it is phenomenal. Now, Mike, here's the story. So there was a guy he was a comedian, and he decided he was going to create a parody Facebook page of his town's police department, right? So it wasn't really them. It didn't use their logo. I mean, he was just basically he did it to make fun of them, right? Well, they didn't like it very much. And so they went and they arrested him. That's right. They arrested him for impersonating law enforcement. Well, this case has been working its way. It's finally worked its way and could potentially go to the Supreme Court. And the Onion decided that they wanted to write an amicus brief, or a friend of the court brief, encouraging Supreme Court to take up this case. Now, the thing about their amicus brief is twofold. Number one, it is hilarious. But number two, it actually is quite astounding in terms of the quality of analysis that they make. And I'll just read here. I'll just read for you the first paragraph and a little bit more. It says, "The Onion is the world's leading." What?
I said, okay, I'm listening.
Okay. The Onion is the world's leading news publication, offering highly acclaimed, universally revered coverage of breaking national, international, and local news events. Rising from its humble beginnings as a print newspaper in 1756, The Onion enjoys a daily readership of 4.3 trillion and has grown into the single most powerful and influential organization in human history. Oh, wait, there's more. In addition to maintaining a towering standard of excellence to which the rest of the industry aspires, The Onion supports more than 350,000 full and part-time journalism jobs and has numerous news bureaus and manual labor camps stationed around the world, and members of its editorial board served in distinction in an advisory capacity for such nations as China, Syria, Somalia, and the former Soviet Union. Mike, this is hilarious. Now, what's interesting about this, and the thing that they point out, is they go on to talk about the definition of parody, right? And the
Yes.
the point of parody is you have to trick the reader into believing that at first this is something that is real, and then in the end pointing out the absurdity and pointing out that it is not real. You get a little more absurd in in the parody, but pointing out, and you're making social commentary. And the point that they're making is, it's one thing if you do a parody and someone winds up doing something, causing harm or something like that to somebody. There's a question as to whether or not what they actually did. If you knew that what you did would cause it, then you could be held criminally and civilly liable, right? But in this particular case, they arrested him simply because he created the parody. Nothing happened, but because he created the parody, they wound up retaliating and arresting him.
Which is ludicrous. That should clearly be a First Amendment protection. And again, I get it if you create the parody and it causes, a harm, and I'm talking, like a physical harm that comes to somebody, then that should fall under the same statutes as the First Amendment, where it's you have the right to your free speech until it harms someone else physically. Again, we're not talking about if your feelings got hurt. That's I think that's the difference here, and that's the problem with this case, is that somewhere along the line someone couldn't figure that out.
Well, Mike, but what's interesting about this is this then leads me to question the standard, because here's the thing. Number one, you have to prove that A caused B, right? So you have to prove that what was said or done, what was said in the parody caused the harm. That's number one. But then number two, you have to prove that the person who did it, or A, should have reasonably known that it would cause this harm, right?
Yes.
And now the difference between the criminal standard and the civil standard is, one is the preponderance of the evidence, meaning, which way do you weigh more? That's in civil case. But in criminal, it's got to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And
Yep.
it's kind of funny because it made me go back to think about Donald Trump and January 6th. Now, this isn't a parody, but it raised this question in my head. You have to prove that number one, that what Donald Trump said caused people to go out and do what they did on the people who did wrong, that it caused them to do what they did on January 6th. But then number two, you have to prove that he reasonably should have known that that would have been the outcome, right? And once
Correct.
again, criminal civil, you have to, once again, the standards are different. I'm just thinking to myself, how exactly are they going to prove this stuff?
Well, remember, it's not an actual court; it's a kangaroo court. So it's they don't have to do anything
Well,
there. It's a kabuki theater.
you're right. That's what's going on right now in Congress.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, they're asking for criminal indictments. They are seeking criminal indictments.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
I just believe they're doing all of this so that they can try and find any sort of thing or dirt or anything to hang on him. They just need a reason to rumble through all of his communications and all of his finances.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what they want. It's just a dragnet to try and get to every piece of info they can find, so they can, okay, listen, we investigated all these, his possession of classified information, and that's all cleared, but he's parked in a handicap zone. So here's a ticket.
And that's all they really got. Oh no, they do have that. He overvalued some of his property when getting a loan. That, oh, by the way, he paid back.
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah, and that's
there's
not
no
criminal,
harm.
by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah. Ridiculous stuff. Ridiculous stuff.
It is definitely ridiculous stuff, but it goes to show you once again the kangaroo court. I just how, like you said, how much of this is a kangaroo court. But like I said, if you guys
Yep.
get a chance, I will post a copy of the brief there on our Facebook page. You guys have got to read this thing. It is 23 pages of hilarity.
Yeah. It's listen, and the Onion is great at this. And like you said, they've been doing this forever. They predate. Well, I don't know about the date of incorporation, but they've been around as far as viewership and followership a lot longer than the other places like Babylon Bee that we know. But yeah, Onion has always been one, and you always had to explain to people it's a parody, it's a
Right.
farce.
You got to
Go
peel
the
back
website.
the layers.
Yep, yep.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, this next one ain't no peeling back on this one, or there maybe there's a lot of peeling back. I don't know, but Nancy Pelosi, and just talk about not getting it. I've just come to the realization that there's people hit a certain age and they stop thinking about the stuff that they say. Nancy Pelosi recently, when talking about the immigrants being sent from Florida to Martha's Vineyard, made this comment. And oh my God, I'm just wondering where is the outrage? Here it is.
Thing that we can do for our economy is to have comprehensive immigration reform. We have a shortage of workers in our country, and you see even in Florida, some of the farmers and the growers saying, why are you shipping these immigrants up north? We need them to pick the crops down here.
You need somebody.
Mike, wow. Now imagine if a Republican had said this. Which news outlets do you think would not be covering this story?
Yeah, she's pretty. You say that you're amazed that she says this and gets away with this. She's bat stuff bonkers. We know that she's been gone a while. She's worse off than the president is. We continually see her up on a panel, or with people whispering all the information into her ear. She can't give an answer on her own without receiving information from others. She did preface it. If you notice, she goes, "Oh, people have told us, or Floridians have told us." No, nobody's talking to you. Nobody picked up the phone and said, "Nancy, yeah, we need migrants to pick crops down here." That's not happening. It's not happening. This is what goes on in your 1960s era racist brain. This is what you've got. You have no idea anything you're talking about and how offensive it is to everybody involved. With your statement.
Well, and what's also funny is so that at the other end of the age spectrum, you have AOC, who's basically saying, they're restricting the right. They're talking about, poor people, and they need to be able to have abortions because they can't afford to have children. in the meantime, rich people can still afford to have children. I mean, the sort of tone deafness that the progressive left has, the thing that gets me is that it's just aided by the media. The media refuses to report on the racist stuff they say. And yet, at the same time, they infer racism into things that Republicans say, even though they may say something that is completely non-racist, that has nothing to do with race. They once again inject racism into it.
Yes, absolutely. She clearly drops the whole we need migrants to pick our crops for us, and that's she gets a free pass. She gets.
I'm just wondering, Mike,
Yeah.
if she had said pick cotton, I'm wondering if they would have said, we've got to say something. We've got to.
Yeah, but who would say something, right? Because, but then it's no longer. She's mixing her racisms right there, right? Migrants pick cotton, right, or pick fruit or vegetables, and those from those slaves from Africa pick cotton. So, she'd be mixing her metaphors. Yeah.
Well, maybe they could send the immigrants who are coming across the border. No, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to make that racist joke. Not even going to go there. Almost went there because it would have been funny, but you're not going to get me, mainstream media. Not going to make that joke. But Nancy Pelosi said it, just so you know. Just so you know.
Yes. Yeah. So it's okay. It must be all right.
It must be. Okay. All right. Yeah. This next one, I think, just kind of exacerbates. We're just one more claim. And I know, Mike, I know you don't follow the NFL much, but Tyreek Hill is a phenomenal talent in the NFL. Known for just running past defenses as a wide receiver during his time with Kansas City. And during the offseason, he was traded. Now, he had a choice of teams that he could go to because there were two teams that were vying for his attention. And one was Miami, the Miami Dolphins, and the other was the New Jersey Jets. That's right, I call them the New Jersey Jets because that's where they play. Anyway, so he was the New Jersey Jets, or let's put it this way. Technically, the company is in New York, so they call them the New York Jets. And for the purposes of this, it's New York because that's where, by the way, the taxes are. And that's what's funny is when he was asked why he chose to go to Miami, why he did Miami instead of New York. Here was his answer.
The Jets were the other team that was kind of vying to trade for you. How close was that to happening this past offseason?
You know what? It was very close to happening, man. But it's just those state taxes, man. I realized, I had to make a grown-up decision. And, here I am in the great city of Miami. Great weather, great people. We're beautiful people, I feel like. So here I am.
That's right, Mike. He basically said, look, I got to make grown-up decisions. These state taxes are killing me. They would kill me. Now, mind you, in New York, the top tax rate is 10.9% income tax, right? On a $120 million contract, that would have cost him over $13 million in taxes in New York. That's what he's saving by being a Miami Dolphin.
Yes, and listen, they're neither one of them are going to get more than 3 wins this year, so it really doesn't matter which one he goes to. You have he also said, Craig, that the beautiful people were in Miami because I don't know if you've been to New Jersey lately, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, but yeah, he's like yeah, you don't take much. Doesn't take much time in New Jersey for you to realize, not a lot of beautiful people in New Jersey. At least not as many as there are in not as many as there are in
South Beach.
South Beach. Now, mind you, the Miami Dolphins are 3-1 this year.
Yeah, they're done. They're done with their wins for the year. It's over.
Oh.
It's the most they're getting. It's
Well,
like the Cowboys.
I think it depends on the Cowboys are also 3-1 this year.
Right,
there's only one team with more wins than they have, and that would be the Philadelphia Eagles. So
that's right. And if you stop the season right now, about 8 months shy of when it's supposed to end, you'd be in the playoffs, but that's not going to happen. So
Yeah. Well, we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's those taxes. I remember back in the day when Tiger Woods signed was a record-breaking $90 million deal with Nike. He moved that day. He went from being a resident of California to a resident of Florida, and it saved him about $4 million a year at that time. So once again, you can see right here that it's going to save him significant amounts of money.
If you go back, Craig, to look at things the founding fathers said, and when we were still colonies, Massachusetts was created for tax freedoms, right? We know that for Boston Tea Party and all that stuff, Stamp Act, and all that. New York was created for religious freedoms, of all things, and then New Jersey it's actually in their charter. They were created to host New York football teams.
Yeah. I find that astonishingly easy to believe.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our parting shots. We got a couple of them today that I think that you will enjoy. This first one goes in line with our Pelosi story. It's got Nancy Pelosi. It says Nationette. She's got her fan. She's got her little Southern Belle dress on with her open fan that says "Open Borders," and it says "Let them pick crops." Or is that supposed to be Southern? Or is that supposed to be French?
French, like
Oh.
Antoinette. Open borders,
Let them pick crops. Marie Antoinette. There you go. Okay. And then our second one is honor of another lady Democrat that we know and love. As Halloween is quickly approaching, here you have a couple of kids. They're trick-or-treating. You have one dressed as Snow White, one dressed as Batman. They're walking away. And you have one that's dressed as a little Hillary Clinton. And the husband is looking at the wife and he's saying, the girl dressed as Hillary is refusing to go away. And then the wife is saying, nice touch.
She gets it. She gets it.
She gets it. That is a nice touch. She definitely gets it.
In the next scene, she's burying the husband's body in the backyard. So that's truly Hillary.
She's burying a body. I don't know if it's the husband's body because Bill is still around. So
I didn't say her husband, just somebody else's husband.
Oh, okay. All right. I get it. But here's the important part. He didn't kill himself.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. That's right. Same as my Christmas lights.
I hear rumors that she is trying to position herself as a potential, I'll jump in and run for Joe.
Of course she is. And you don't think that's part of their plan? Of course she is.
Does she not realize that nobody in the world, well, let me clarify. There are clearly some people in the world who take her seriously. Just not anybody with half a brain.
Correct. And remember, if this were to happen, Craig, that scenario, not to go completely off on the topic, but that needs to happen within before the midterms. That needs to before the midterms take office. So January 5th, right? January 6th. They would have to find a reason for Kamala to leave, and then they would have to have the House and the Senate confirm her, and she would become vice president. Then they can get rid of Joe, and she could take office. So that all has to happen within the next 2 to 3 months.
Wow. Anyway, any note, let's move along. That's a depressing thought. Let's move along and give a shout out to our sponsors.
Let's say good day to our friends out there at Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. Make sure you look them up for all your barrel needs. The California Republican Assembly, make sure you reach out to them and assist them, because it ain't free, folks, in their fight against the Newsomness, the democracy lunatics out there. And then, of course, our good friends for awesome combat gear at uscombatgear.com.
Once again, folks, just follow the links to their websites in the description to this program and let them know that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and call it a day on this Thirsty Thursday, and we will be back with you tomorrow on Friday, which is Feedback Friday. Please remember, like, share, subscribe, and encourage friends to do the same. We'll talk to you tomorrow.